Ashley here, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are doing the Cake Day workshop. So we're creating a couple two-page layouts and a couple cards. And this particular workshop ended up with kind of a decent amount of leftovers. So I was like, I'm going to use some of this up. And I made this fun happy birthday banner using it. And as you can see, there is still tons left over for me to play with. While we wait for people to join us, so just wanted to kind of show that off. Super easy. I'll post a picture of this and the instructions for my measurements. But if you ordered the Cake Day workshop, or if you order it still, you still can get it, then I will send you the letters if you want to make the banner. You just got to shoot me a message and I can mail those out for you. But that was a fun little project that I added with my scraps. Wanted to show you off. And then let's go ahead and get into the materials that you need for today. So make sure you have your Sundance, Intense Black, and Wild Berry are the three colors we are going to be using. Then we need the light green, the citrus green, the aqua blue. So those are all the blends. And then you need the bright pink in the shades. So we're going to do some marker coloring. Okay. You need a plate like 8 or 9 inches in diameter, or I'm a math teacher, so I'm going to use a math tool. All right, Anita, I'll send you a package. Yeah, I have a special place up on my wall that I do little banners for. And so this was perfect because my son's birthday is coming up. So that is actually going to go on the wall now since I just took down St. Patrick's Day like a week ago. All right, so to get started, I have my pre-cut pieces. And we are going to do all of the stamping and everything together. Now, if you're interested in joining and creating these and you haven't purchased materials, place an order for the materials and I will send you a copy of the cutting guide for free. All right, so we are actually going to start with our base pages. You need a white gel pen and we are going to do a cute little border around the edge. Okay, all right, making sure everything's set. So let me scooch that. I'll do that. Okay. Now, some hints and tips for doing the border. Okay. Now, it's done by hand. It's not supposed to be perfect. Okay. If you want it to be perfect, use a ruler. You can. But what I do is I use my Versamat because it gives me a nice kind of guideline to run my hand next to, and I come down. Okay, it's a lot harder to keep a steady hand going left to right than it is up and down. And so we're just going to do a cute little frame. And that's just simply in the white gel pen. And so you can see, not perfect, but it's generally straight and it just gives it that cute little look. All right, so again, we're just going to go around the edge. So again, that Versamat kind of gives me a little reference, some nice placement, and then it helps me kind of keep an even distance all the way around my mat. So we're going to be using the white gel pen in a couple different places today to add some fun little accents. All right, and then let me swap this out for the other one. Just gonna put my pieces on top. Okay. Okay, but this first layout is definitely my favorite out of the 3. I just simply love those colors popping on the black. So much fun. Okay. And then we have our last one. Okay. Now, this workshop does have quite a bit of prep work before we can actually start gluing stuff down. So the next thing we need is we got to locate a couple little pieces. Okay. Oh, that reminds me. The stamp of the month for April is adorable. It is these like message in a bottle. So I've been playing with glass bottles and stamping those and putting them on a layout. So super fun. Okay, so we need some of these pieces. Okay, so we have a lot in this particular color, but we only need a certain size. Okay, let me just make sure that's all of those. I think that is. Okay. We want, okay, it is the 1¼ by 4" pieces. That one's the 4½, so it should be the shorter ones. There it is. Okay. 1¼ by 4 inches. Those, and we want to be on the light side. Okay, and then there should be a 1 and 3½ inch piece. There should be a pair of those. You know, that might be this by 3½, and then we need a pair of those. Okay, and then these ones go off to the side. Yeah, these are for a different technique that we'll be doing. Okay, so set those aside. All right, so we have these. So we are actually going to stamp these. So I'm going to flip my Versamat over so I have something squishy. Again, I want to be on the light side, and we are going to random stamp the asterisk. Okay, so now a reminder with stamping, you always want to try and use the best fitting block that you have. Oh, actually, I think we want the small asterisk. Sorry, I forgot this one has 2 asterisks. So we want the little itty bitty asterisk that's in the middle. I'm going to peel that sucker off. Let me set this aside. And remember, if you don't have a Versamat, then just stamp on the foam squishy that comes in. That way you get a nice impression. All right. So I am going to random stamp, and that means I might do a couple of these off of the page. So I am going to grab just a scratch piece of paper. I actually keep all of my packing slips whenever I get a close to my heart order. Okay, and so random stamping isn't random, it's done in triangles. So if I start here, okay, at least this isn't too bad of a shape when you rotate. There's not much difference in the asterisk, but you are thinking triangles. Okay, so if I'd stamp one here, then I need one down here to make a triangle. Okay, and then let me, there we go, kind of zoom in on that for you guys. And so then see, I'm just making another triangle and then a new triangle. And then just kind of working your way across the page. And now you can put these as close together or as far together as you want. So that one I'm going to have slightly going off. I feel like this needs just like a touch of something there. And you're kind of creating triangles, filling in across the page. And okay, there's a little tag. Okay, and another tail there. And then I probably should rotate these so it's not the same thing all the way across. With certain images like flowers and things, it's very obvious with random stamping if you're using like exact same direction. This is kind of more of an asterisk. Well, it is an asterisk. So it's not as easily noticed if you're not rotating it that much. Okay, and that's our first one, and we're just going to do the same thing to all of them. But I definitely feel like I can always use birthday layouts. So these are fun. I like that they're a pretty good variety. You have some kind of more like pinkies, so I guess girl themed. And then this one I'm using for my husband's birthday. So versus my niece's birthday, because yeah. Okay, so I'm going back and adding a couple like little like off. Okay, I want one more off. There it goes. It's like barely anything on it. And then these guys. And then another thing is we do want to make kind of uniform as far as like the sizing and the spacing of our stamps. Otherwise, it's going to look a little bit funky. That way, this is like we're making our own pattern paper. Okay, and then we got one more to do. And again, we were on the light side. Oh, hold on. Something happened. Okay, there we go. All right. So we are finishing up our random stamping. And then we are going to be doing a couple other techniques to kind of decorate up our paper. Oh, and I just realized I did not clear off my stamp chamois. So give me 1 sec to get this wet. I'll be right back, you guys. All right, so we have, just gonna clean that off and leave that right up there. And then we are going to move, go ahead and put that back, and we're gonna do the next, is gonna be that, our cake. I really like that cake. Okay, so you're gonna want your large cake image, and I'll go ahead and leave it kind of zoomed in for right now. We have a bigger block, which let me see if this will, nope. I need to grab this one. And then we are going to go ahead and, again, if you have not used this stamp set yet, you want to either season it, you can do that on your hand, or you can stamp it and then stamp it off on a piece of paper a couple times to make sure you get a nice crisp image. Do that. So I have Intense Black. Now you do want to use Intense Black because once it dries, it's not going to bleed, and we're going to be using the markers on these. Okay, so I have used this before, but just so you can see, it's always a good idea to kind of do one practice stamp if you haven't used your stamp. Actually, I don't need my paper. So let me kind of center this, make sure. I do like the clear stamps because you can tell if it is inked up fully. Sorry if my head gets, oh no, it's not. All right. And then I'm gonna push down. I'm going to leave this for a few seconds and just kind of do like a slight wiggle rotate. Now I'm not like using all my weight on this because I don't want to like deform and smush the actual stamp. I just want it to get pressed down lightly all the way across. Other things on large stamps is you can also run your finger along the back to make sure that all of it is transferred over. And that turned out pretty good. Okay, so let me go ahead and clean this one off. And put that back, but I really liked this this stamp. And we're going to want to set this aside because we are going to do some coloring using markers on this one. Okay. Alrighty. And then let me check next. Okay. Okay, so then we are going to need some of our presents. Okay, let me grab the right ones. I believe that is these guys. Okay, so I'm going to just scooch this over. All right, and then we need, I think those are the only presents. So let me double check my stack. I think those are our only die cuts besides the cake on this particular layout. Okay. So then we need our present. So we're going to use some first and second generation. And then we'll use a black bow on it, so it'll end up super cute. So let's go ahead and bring over our like Sundance stamp pad. Trying to get so you can see everything in the little image. All right, and then let me grab my block. Let me see if this one will fit. It's a little long, but it looks like it's the right width. And so sometimes I like to use just like a slightly longer block. And when I do that, I put it towards one side. It makes it a little bit more stable. Okay. And so we are going to stamp that in our Sundance. Oh, I should have checked. I normally like to line these up beforehand. I think, okay, it's actually that way. So very rectangular, but there is a very slight difference. Okay, so on our first one, let me bring this down so I can see a little bit better. I am going to stamp it first generation. Okay. And then I'm going to do second generation on this one. And then I'll leave it a couple seconds, give it a little wiggle. All right. Now, this is a nice thing for, let's say you don't have all the colors, you don't have something quite right. Sometimes a second generation can do a whole new color that you might not have. Okay. So we're done with this. I just cleaned it off with my stamp pad and I'm going to return it to my carrier sheet. And then we're going to grab this long one here, the one with the stripes on it. Okay, let me see. Does this one have, this one doesn't have much of a direction on it. Okay, so we're going to add some first generation on top of our second generation one. So again, this is all Sundance. And so now we have a cute little first and second generation striped present. Okay, so I'll clean and put that one away. And so that's great, especially it coordinates well. You can do two-toned with any ink, okay? So now we need that little bow, okay? So the ribbon is gonna be this one at the top, the long one. All right, and then I'll place that make sure it's straight. One nice thing about the acrylic stamps is you can kind of flex and bend them for however you need, especially if you want to turn a sentiment sometimes and curve it, which is kind of nice. So we are going to stamp our bow in our intense black ink. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and stamp it on our fun first and second generation. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. A little hard to pick up on the camera there you go. You can see that a little bit better. And then I'm going to re-ink this time for my bow on my solid present. All right. There we go. Let me clean this one up. And you can see how quickly these come together. So much fun. You could easily swap out that second ink stripe for whatever coordinating colors you had at your party. Okay. Let me clean that up. And then let me flip I'm going to set these aside. Okay. And then flip my mat back over. And then we are wanting a couple more of our pieces. Okay, so you're gonna want the 4-inch one. Oh, wait, I think we have, hold on, let me double check. Let me double check my sizing because we do have a couple pieces. Okay, so we should have, what is it? A 1 by 3.5. Okay, so we want the 1 by 3.5. Okay, I know the little one is later. And then I think we want, this is the one. We want the skinnier one. Okay, it's 3/4 inch by 4. All right. Okay, and then make sure that they are on the light side. And then we're going to grab our gel pen. And we're just going to add some dots. Okay, so I'm going to bust my gel pen back out. Okay, so we're making our own polka dots. Okay, so again, you can use random, kind of that random stamping technique. There we go. And you can make them small little dots, bigger dots, however you want your dots to be. But think of those triangles, just kind of fill it in. A little bit easier with dots because you don't have to move things around. I'm not sure how well that's picking up on there. A little bit white on this color. It shows up in person, but not the best on the camera. It showed up much better with that black. Okay, let's see here. Fill these all in. Those cute little polka dots. And so you can see we did an asterisk in black. We're doing polka dots in white. We're building these presents with that stamp set. Okay, so do the same thing on this one. And this really just shows you how you can take cardstock and create your own backdrop to go with your own theme using your stamps or other just techniques. I was having fun. I did a neat little like tone on tone the other day because I needed avocado. Elizabeth, I know what you mean. Yeah, I luck out because when I became a close to my heart maker and did this, my husband agreed that he would give me one Saturday a month at noon, and he would watch the kid until I was done with my workshop. And so it's kind of nice where no matter what, I know I will get to sneak away and craft for a couple hours every month. But he's watching the kid. They're outside with a bubble gun and playing. Okay, so next we need it is a piece of white, and it is going to be 3/4 of an inch, and that is by 2.5. Okay, 3/4 of an inch by 2.5. Yeah, if my husband hadn't agreed to that, this would not have happened. Well, it used to be when I first started doing this, my child would take a nap around 1. So it was just like, all right, dude, it's real easy. Play with him, put him down. He sleeps the rest of it. Now he takes a much later nap. So it's kind of nice. Sometimes I get a craft and then I'm done with the workshop and my kid's still asleep and I get to craft more. Okay. So, we have our little piece of white. Let me go ahead and zoom back out, and we are going to stamp. We heard there was cake. Now, a hint with these, so sometimes it's hard to like kind of get them straight and not a little wobbly. If you set it down, stamp size down, then that part's not really the super sticky part. So it's pretty straight. And then I can just take my acrylic block and pick it up. All right. And so that's a nice way to kind of get more of a straight. Okay. So we do want to dovetail the right side of this. Okay. So let me flip this over real quick. And I have lost, oh, there's my black. I lost my black. Of course, it's sitting next to me. All right, now I have not used this one before, so I am gonna season it up on my hand. And then I am gonna do one practice just to make sure it's picking up well, there's no imperfections. And that's also a great way to see that, yep, this looks nice and straight. So I want to kind of stamp further to the left side of this so that there is room to dovetail. Hold on, that doesn't look like I think I missed part of the herd. Okay. All right. We heard there was cake. Okay. And then I'll clean this off, and then we're going to grab our scissors and we'll go ahead and dovetail this. All right, so again, when it's something this small, I'll just aim for the middle, snip, and then I'm going to just go from corner to my snip. There we go. Cute. Okay, let me clean up my ink. And then now we're going to bedazzle this some more. So go ahead and grab your journaling pen. Oh, Jesus, I'm throwing things. And we are going to add a cute little just border to it. So kind of that faux stitched border. So again, I really like this workshop because it's all about the little details. Okay, apparently I cannot talk while doing dashed lines for some reason. All right, and then let me do this last little side. Perfect. We heard there was cake. We are going to add some color to that, but we'll give it a sec to kind of dry. All right, so let's see. We have, let me grab my next pieces. They're also that glacier color. Okay. So it should be that last tall piece, and then there should be the teeny tiny little piece. Okay. All right, so that should be all that's left. Let's see, it's an inch by 4.5 for the big one. And then the little one is 1/2 inch by 2.5. Okay, so we're gonna grab your the light green, and then so this is the Spectrum light green blend. We're gonna grab the middle one, and then we're gonna add some stripes. Okay, so this is gonna add kind of a fun little accent. Okay, so nice thing about the Versamat, right, is you can line up your stripes. Okay, actually, let me do the small one first so you can see. Okay, so I am gonna be slightly offset from my lines, and I am gonna go from one line and I'm gonna go to the diagonal down. All right, and I'm gonna repeat. So I have that same diagonal all the way across. I'll do that one too. The math teacher in me is like, okay, all of these have the same slope. So we want a bunch of parallel lines. Okay, let me come over here. Oops. Such a nice, easy way to get uniform stripes. All right, and then I'll do the same thing with this one. Okay, and I'm gonna just slightly offset it so that way it's not just starting at the corner. It doesn't really matter, you could start from the corner. Now, actually, I'm gonna start from the corner on this one. So if we go, what do you call it? Let's do it one again. Yeah, so we'll come this way. And creating those stripes. And then you can make these thicker if you wanted to. You could keep them thin. But this is a nice way to get that uniform parallel look without all the stress. Okay, and then there we go. Okay. And then a trick, if you did mess up, repeat going the opposite way. You're going to create more of a plaid look, and it won't be as obvious that you screwed up one of them. Okay, so again, go the opposite way also. So that's just a little idea. Okay, so then we need a sticker. It says fun. And with that marker that we just used, we're just going to kind of make a, whoops, I grabbed the wrong color, kind of highlight the word, okay? And then that is with the light, okay? So we just used medium, so we're going to bring in the light, and we're just going to kind of highlight fun. Okay. All right, so that I'm going to set aside for this layout, and then I'm going to bring in that birthday cake. Okay. I keep forgetting I'm zoomed in right now, so it's easier for you guys to see. And so we are going to be using the Aqua Blue blend, and this is on the light side, and we're just going to color the bash portion of the cake. Okay, so we're going to color it in light, and then there's a couple options for the accent on it. Okay, now when we color this, I can do shading, and the shadow in our medium color. Okay, and then I could just kind of create a shadow, neat little pop effect. But we're gonna actually add lines to this one, and then the upper layer we're going to add polka dots. Okay, let me make sure I'm in the camera. So lots of use out of the markers and ink in the workshop today. I do love these markers. These are definitely one of my favorite ways to color. Definitely one of the more time-consuming ways, but just so brilliant and vibrant. Okay. And we will birthday bash. I love this. I'm gonna do some extra cards or something with this on it. Okay. So now I am going to use the medium. Let me double check it's medium. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Where did my cake go? Okay. Got it. Okay. Actually, it says light, medium, and dark. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and take that, and I'm going to switch to the dark side. Okay, come to the dark side. And I'm going to do vertical lines, right? And so obviously that first part of the bee would be hiding that. So I'm just going to kind of do some vertical lines. I feel like that would just barely hit there. I feel like my vertical lines are starting to be slightly at a slight angle. Okay. And so I'm just lightly using that tip of my marker. Then strokes. Yep, definitely at a slight angle. I'm just going to call it a designer choice. That's what I've learned. You never make a mistake. It was a choice. But how fun is that? Okay. Now, if you want to add some additional shading, you can go in with the medium and add some kind of at the top, just right around it. You can even go around the edge of the letters themselves to help kind of give it that defined edge and make it pop more. And then part of me wants to actually just fill in the letters. So even though I inked it and it inked pretty well, but I feel like unless you're using like a Misty, there's still just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and just color that in. And I think that kind of helps make it a little bit more defined. That way I have that nice edge for that black. There we go. Yeah, I like that. I know I played it with another one of these. I don't know what I put it, but this one's a fun one to kind of color and play with, and adding the different designs behind it really kind of foofs it up some. Okay, and then we want, let me make sure, it is the light green marker. Okay, so I'm on the light green marker now, and I'm gonna kind of do a similar thing for the top, except the top is gonna get polka dots instead of stripes. So start with the light shade. And then color that in. So then let's see here. Color, color, color. Now, another thing, if you wanted to blend these, if I was gonna maybe do more of a gradient where it's like darker at the top and lighter up, then I want to be working one section at a time as I'm transitioning colors. Since I want a more of like a solid color and then an outline, it's not as big of a deal to color the whole thing. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the dark, and I'm gonna add some fun polka dots. And I like slightly bigger polka dots, I think. And this is again that random stamping that's coming on. Too many of those were in a line. And polka dots. Okay. And then I actually, yeah, I like it like that. I don't want to actually outline that. I felt like the lines needed it. But I like the polka dots just as is. Super cute, fun. And then let's go ahead and grab that. We heard there was cake. Okay. And then I'm going to take the light green. Okay. And then I'm just going to highlight, just like we did that sticker. I'm going to highlight, we heard there was cake. All right. Okay, and that should be all the pieces. So then now we can start actually assembling. So let me go ahead and zoom back. There we go, back out so we can see everything. Move that aside. We'll still need these for our other layout, obviously, but we can kind of push some of that aside. Okay, put some of my little pieces over here, and then we're gonna do a fun like rolling technique. Okay, now you can use the gel pen, or sometimes some people prefer I have the piercing tool. Okay, so those are going to be for our rolling. Okay, but we're going to start, I'm going to do the left page first. This one, we'll probably do the left page and then the right page, just because there's a lot of like little things at once. Okay, so this, just so you can kind of see an idea of what it's going to look like. Well, you guys have the workshop, all right? So you can see that there. So then we need, okay, it's the happy birthday piece. Okay, we need our larger polka dot piece. Okay, and then, all right, our polka dot is going to be 3/4 of an inch from the top and 1 inch in. Okay, so 3/4, sorry, 3 1/4 from the top. Oh, 3 1/4 from the top, and then about 1 inch in. So it's about there. Okay. All right, and then our birthday is going to be 4 1/4 from the bottom and 1 inch in. Okay, so 4 1/4 and about 1 inch in. All right. And then C is, no, something's wrong. That's not C. I think that's for the other page. I want to say C should be this one here. Okay, so C is going to be right at the top, okay, but it's going to be overlapping the birthday, right? And then it's 1.5 inches in, so centered on the page. All right, I'm just going to eyeball that one, 1.5. Looks about right. Let me grab some water. Okay. All right, up next is D. Let me find D real quick. Photo mats, put those with my photos. Where is it? So D is a piece of the yellow and the lemonade. It's 3/4 of an inch wide. Okay. So we're going to use it with the green side showing, but we're going to roll the end of this. Okay. So for rolling, you can use the end of your gel pen. So if you have your gel pen, okay. And you're gonna kind of just roll this, okay? And then when you unroll it, notice you get kind of this fun little spring. Now, to help this stay, this is where the glue dots are gonna come in, okay? So we're gonna use a glue dot to kind of adhere the roll to itself. Now, this is more of like a thicker roll. Now, if you want more of a thinner roll, that is where the piercing tool would come in. So I do the same thing. I just wrap it around on my piercing tool, and then kind of once I get it started, I can roll it. And when I unroll it, you can notice it is a much tighter little roll. Okay, so depending on how you like it, what style, I'm not sure if I can kind of, okay, yeah. Or if you have a piercing tool, and you can always do that and unroll it. So I'm going to do a little bit looser, and then I am going to use my piercing tool, and I'm going to grab a glue dot, and I am going to adhere that in and then roll this back. Now what'll actually happen is it will get smushed down, okay? You don't need to push it down now. It's just, that's what happens when you put it in your photo album and you close it and it sits on top of itself. It's gonna end up a little bit flattened, all right? This is actually going to overlap on top here. And so we are gonna glue this, let's see, we want this side to be about 3/4 of an inch in, sorry, 2 3/4 of an inch in. And then it's going to be kind of just overlapping this by like 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to do a little bit of adhesive on the back of the rolly part so it sticks. Okay. And then I want 3 3/4. That doesn't seem right. It seems too... Alright. I don't know if that's... It almost seems like more. Okay. I'm going to do mine right about there, centering it. Okay, and there's my fun roll. And then there is another roll. We're going to do the same thing. Okay, so I want the green side up, and I'm going to roll this one, and this one's going to go down here. Now, again, things you can decide. Do you want these to be the same, rolled the same amount? Do you want to have one rolled more than others? You can also even kind of roll it. Look and see... oh, this one is kind of further offset than that one. I do like the slightly tighter roll, so I am going to grab my piercing tool so that I can kind of tighten that a little bit. And then once I kind of have it started, it's pretty easy to just kind of roll with your fingers. But it's a fun little one. Okay. And then I can unroll it and kind of adjust it to how I want, how tight, how small. All right. Okay, so then I'm going to add my glue dot to secure it. Okay, and then let's see, I kind of like it. Let's see, this side. Okay, this side should be further than that edge. Okay, so if you see that there, I am not as far as the yellow. It's almost in line with the yellow. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of roll mine. I like it right there. Okay, so that's where I'm gonna put my glue dot. All right, so that is where it won't unwind anymore. And then that little piece that I did have a little extra wind in, I can kind of just flatten out. And again, it'll flatten with my book as I just put it away. All right, I'll add some adhesive to this stuff. Okay. And then this is on top of that happy birthday. And then it is kind of in line with that yellow. It's about 1/4 of an inch up, just right across there. Okay. And so you can see, again, you can leave these up. If you have more of like a display album, then this is kind of a fun 3D technique to use. Okay. So then we need, I believe it is our candle borders to 10 3/4. Okay. So on our sticker sheet, that is the candle borders. Okay. So we want 10 3/4. So I'm actually gonna scooch my page aside. I'm going to pull my sticker off, and I am going to just lightly tack one corner down on my Versamat. And let me double check my measurements. This one is 10 3/4, I think I said. Where did it go? There it is. 10 3/4, and then we want to dovetail both sides. So 10 3/4, boop, and then I'm gonna toss my little extra small piece back on my sticker sheet. Right? The rolling technique, I saw someone did a really cute layout where they rolled like all of them. They just had a bunch of strips and all the bottom edges were rolled at different heights. It looked really cute, and I might have to kind of make my version of it. So I don't think I saved the photo, which is why I'm so angry. Always like inspiration. All right, so dovetail both sides. So let's snip this guy. Throw those away, otherwise the little sticker pieces are going to end up everywhere. And there we are. Aha. Okay. And this, okay. This is going to go a 1/4 inch up from the bottom of the yellow, and it is just simply centered on the page. So it's kind of right on top, actually right on top of the that birthday paper is what's going to happen, and it just pokes off. And you can see we're getting all of these fun layers on here. Okay, and then we need our photo mats. And I know I goofed on one of them. I think there's supposed to be a slightly larger photo mat on here. Okay. I want to say that one of these is larger than the other. I made an error and I didn't want to recut because it kind of still looked fine when I was laying it out. If you have a larger one, that would go here. If they're the same size, then I might be thinking of a different layout, because I know I goofed on one of my photo mats, and I think it's this one. All right. So it should be like a 1/4 of an inch bigger than mine actually is. So this is just going to kind of get centered on our page. Okay. Oh, actually, let me find my photo for this one. Why do I have so many photos? Oh, I was going to use a flip flop. Okay. All right. So that is my husband with his birthday cake that I made him. I am a baker, and I enjoy making cakes. So I'm going to put that down here, and then I'm going to center this so I just have a little bit sticking above and below that green. Okay. I hear my son, Mom, what are you doing? Okay, now we need our black asterisk. Okay, so we have the small and the larger ones. We are, I want to say it should be the bigger ones. Yeah, it's the bigger ones. Okay, and then these are going to go at the top and bottom. Okay, the other two, those are for our right side layout. Okay, so those are going to go there, and those are just literally going to go right, they're going to butt up right to the edge. And these are the same size, so it doesn't matter. Okay, next, go ahead and pull. We heard there was cake. Okay, and then this is going to be a good piece to pop up with some 3D foam. Now, if you do not have your pictures, then cut your one piece of foam and then cut a smaller piece of foam next to it. Okay, and what you'll do is you will only pull off the large piece. So when you stick this down, actually it goes right up here, your photo will slide under. Since I have my photo, I'm going to go ahead and pull both. Okay, and this is going to kind of go right here. It's going to just kind of stick right just a little bit onto your photo, a little bit over. And it's about, I don't know, not even 1/4 of an inch, maybe closer to 1/8 of an inch from the polka dot paper. Okay, so then we need, it's part of that zip strip that you cut apart. These guys right here, okay? And then there should be 2 different sizes, all right? And we want the, hold on, let me double check. Okay, we want the larger ones. We want the ones that will go the full length of the picture, okay? All right, and so those are gonna just overlap our photo, okay? So I will do one at the top. So it's in line with that fun patterned paper that we made. And again, since it's just barely overlapping the photo, it should be easy to add adhesive to one side and simply kind of tuck it under. All right, I believe we need some stickers. Okay. So we do want boy. Now, if this is not a boy layout, you can always kind of change them around, but pay attention. Some of these, we use quite a few of the stickers, so I'd wait till the end if you want to swap them out. Okay, so we are doing boy up in the corner right here. Make sure there's a little bit of black. Okay, and then birthday is gonna go at an angle right above it. All right, so then we're gonna add, okay, this yellow asterisk. We're gonna add this, what's that, glacier heart. And then we also want, oh, and a wild berry asterisk. Okay, so let's kind of put those down. Okay, so right above, I don't know what happened to my good pair of tweezers. So I have like my backups. All right, so right above birthday boy, off the corner of that is going to be our yellow asterisk. Kind of zoom in a little bit, playing with that more. And then we have that lagoon, and then that is going to go kind of right up there with this cluster. We're creating that fun little cluster. And then our, this way, that wild berry is going to go right off of our edge, right around there. So it's kind of hanging half off. Okay. Then we need to bring in our cake and our presents. Okay. Put that back. All right. So our birthday bash, or B-Day bash. And where are my presents? Okay. And it looks like, oh, this is our cake, and I think it's one of the stickers actually. Yeah. Okay. So we have our solid cake, solid present that we stamped, and then we have the yellow sticker. Okay. All right, and these we're going to kind of pair up so they're overlapping. Actually, I might want a little more overlap, and they are going to go sticking right underneath our B-Day bash. Okay, so we have these presents kind of popping out. All right, I like it kind of like there. So I am going to kind of finagle that, since one is a sticker and one is not. And then I want to pop up my cake. Okay, I want to pop that up, so I'm going to use some foam. Piece. I don't know how well I can get those candles. I don't know how well it really matter. I'll just do one there. Okay. Go ahead and pull my foam off. All right. Let's see. How do I like that? Ooh, just like that. Perfect. Okay. So then we need a couple more stickers. I like this one. It uses a lot of these little stickers. So grab one of the nectarines. That's the orangey one. And let's see. The nectarine we're going to put kind of right up here. Then we need our yellow heart. And that's going to be clustered. And then we have, I believe it is a wild berry asterisk, and that's going to kind of go right off the edge of our present. And then we actually need some cake dots. Okay, let's use a, let's see here, let's use a yellow medium one, it looks like. And I'm going to put that up here, I'm going to use a small yellow. Oops. And that one is going to go kind of up here near my blue. I'm going to use a medium nectarine, that's the orange. And I'm going to put that in this cluster kind of going up. And then let's do another nectarine, the small one. And that is going to go kind of up here. So we're kind of creating this like little like cluster thing. Now, okay, now we're going to bring that gel pen back in. Okay, and then let me go ahead and zoom in so we can see. We are going to add some like little dots. Okay, and we're kind of think like confetti, kind of connecting our little clusters together. Okay, so I'm doing a couple there. Oh, you know, maybe I can zoom in a little more. Oh, that's better. That's a little easier to see. And then again, you can decide how big or small you want your dots. If you want to do them just one, two, a couple clusters. Let's see, I want a couple there. I want to do a 1, 2 there. And then, so I'm kind of thinking of the flow. I feel like this needs a little more connecting. So I might do one down here, here, and here. So it's kind of flowing out. And then the bottom right is kind of coming up and off of this thing. So I want one maybe down here, but most of them are going to be connecting. Let's do one right next to the heart. Let's do kind of like a set of 2. So it's kind of coming up and off. Let's see. Do I like that? I think that looks good. Do I need... No, I think that looks good. Okay. So kind of see how you're creating the clusters and that zigzaggy flow. Okay. All right. I think that is it. Yeah, cool. So that, zoom out, is our left page. So let's go ahead and bring in our right page. We don't have nearly as many like little this, that. Okay, let me see. My journaling strip tried to escape. Oh no. Oh no. I just like knocked a bunch of pieces right over my trash can. So hopefully none of them made it in my trash can. Okay. I think I have everything. All right. So here is our black base. And then we're going to start with that large yellow piece. Okay, so I'm going to glue it down. It's going to get glued down on the left side, and it's about a 1/2 inch in from the top and the bottom. Okay, so 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Bam. Okay, so then find your beautiful asterisk pieces that you made. Those are going to go at the top and bottom, and they are going to be just centered and slightly, oh, they have it where it lines up, but I want it slightly off center. I feel like we have so many fun uneven layers in the left side that I want to continue that kind of pattern on the right side. Okay, so again, I'm just aiming for center and just barely kind of overlapping the top and the bottom. Okay, so next, hold on, it's getting warm in here. We need, hold on. Okay, next we are doing our photo mats. Okay. Let me find my photos. All right, so I have fun. So I'm going to be using some extras. I didn't have too much from my husband's birthday, but I wanted to be able to use all of these so I could kind of show off who all was there. It's just a little family thing. So that is where flip flaps really come in. So I am on the dark side that I'm going to go ahead and glue my photos down. And then we have, these are going to go here, just so you can kind of see placement. Our fun stripedy one that we created goes there. And then we should have those zip strip pieces that go there. And so you can kind of see how everything gets just kind of a little bit of a small border when we have that. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and glue that down. So I am gonna start with my zip strips at the top and the bottom. Actually, it looks like I got a little bit of the white, that polka dot paper still showing. I'm just gonna trim that off real quick because that really shows against the yellow. Oh, I just dropped that scrap on my floor because I moved my trash can. Okay, perfect. And then I'll match the bottom. Uh-oh. I think I'm fine because I'm pretty sure a photo goes there, but the rub and remove eraser to the rescue. Okay. All right. Oh, water break. So now I am, this gets centered at 6. So that might be the easier way to do it. Glue this down first. Okay, so that the center is at 6, or so it's, you know, at, so 6.5 and 5.5 are the edges, I guess you could say. And then now I can just eyeball center for my photo. All right, so look for center in my cute little gap. Right. And there we go. Okay, so then we should have a couple more little pieces. We should have polka dots. We should have birthday. Uh-oh. I should have another little yellow piece. Uh-oh, I hope I just knocked a bunch of pieces down and I don't see everything. Hold on. Because this, let me check. Okay, because we got polka dots. Yeah, we need that green piece. Because it goes polka dots, birthday, and then green. Okay, I don't know. Over here. So this is where it's going to show up later. Okay, it's not that big of a chunk, and I have a ton of extras, so I am just going to literally pull a chunk of green. Let me check the instructions real quick. Sorry, you guys. Oh, here they are. Let me just see how big that piece is so that I can cut it the right size. The green is 2.5 by 1.25. 2.5 by, oh, this is pretty good. This is 1.5. All right, that's pretty easy. Okay. By 1.25. Schwink. Toss that back in my scraps. Okay, of course I'll probably find it as soon as I'm done with this workshop today. That's always how it works, I feel like. All right. Okay, so we have that, and those are going to go about 2 1/8 of an inch down from the top here. All right. So since it is in the middle, it's a little bit harder to measure. So 2 1/8 is going to be right around there. So it's much more towards the top. Okay. We are going to end up having our photo. Oh, sorry. It's not 2 1/8 from the top. It's 2 1/8 from here. I was like, something looks off. There we go. Because our photo goes 3 3/4 of an inch here. Okay. Just so you can see placement. Okay. I am going to go ahead and glue these. So I'm going to use this one, which does not get glued down, as my reference. And then it is polka dot at the top. Just simply place it right up against it. Happy birthday. It is a small strip, but you might want to pay attention to the orientation of the letters if you can tell. And then that green piece. All right, so then I want to pull out my polka dot piece. Okay, so we have 2 polka dot pieces, and we want, oh, I missed a polka dot piece on the left layout. We want the skinnier one goes on the left layout. My bad, you guys. So this one is going to go here, okay, and we're going to curl it this way. So we'll have the cute roll right here. So again, I can use my pen, wind it up, okay. Now you can use your fingers if you want to tighten it that way. You can use the piercing tool to tighten it, okay, whichever way you want, all right. But take note of where this is going to fall and how kind of wrapped up you want it, okay. My photo is going to be 1 inch in, so if you want to just set your mat there. Actually, why don't we go ahead and glue it down? Let's glue it down before we put that for placement. So this is going to be, make sure you're on the dark side, 1 inch from the edge, 3 1/4 from the bottom. Uh-oh. I think there it goes. I almost glued a hair in there. Okay, 3 1/4 and then 1 inch right about there. I think that's straight. So now it's a little bit easier to see your roll. That's going to get tucked right against the side. It's going to be overlapping about a little bit under halfway. Okay, and so figure out, where do you want that roll? How much do you want to glue it? Okay, so add my glue dot. Let's see, I think I want it about there. Let's see. No, actually, I want it more rolled. I want it about there. Yeah, I like that better. So I'm going to add another glue dot. Okay. There we go. Now, before you glue that down, go back to your sticker sheet and then oh, whoops. That is too short. We need the other one. Okay. We need some more of that candle sticker. Okay. Let me grab that. Okay. So we're going to go back to our sticker sheet. You'll notice that this is just not quite big enough to make that gap. So we're going to need to go ahead and pull our large sticker. And we can kind of see how big is it. How big is our little gap? And then trim. Oh, I don't want it actually stuck there. How big is it, and kind of trim it down, and I'll just put the rest back on my carrier sheet. Okay, so this we do want in with about 1/4 of an inch gap. Oops, I guess I made it just a little too short, but I don't think it's going to be that noticeable. And then this is going to kind of overlap the candles and that. So we're getting those fun layers. Okay. All right. So that will be placed on top. Okay. All right, so we have our roll, and then let's see, we need to, oh, actually, let me glue my photo down. Let's see, since it's my husband's birthday, I'm gonna have this one on top, but I'm gonna be using a flip flap for this. So I don't want to glue this one down. So I have his 2 brothers that I'll do instead. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue that one down. And I'll put my flip flap on when I put it into my album. Now, there are ways that you can put flip flaps onto the actual layout itself. I don't know why I put so much glue on this photo. And then you can cut slits in memory protectors to have it pop out. Personally, I prefer actually just gluing the flip flap on top of the memory protector. I think it makes it just a little bit easier. Okay. All right. Other pieces. Oh, there it is. The piece I was using for my reference, okay? That is going to go up here at the top, and it's going to go about a 1/2 inch from the edge. So it's a little bit more towards the right side of that photo. And that's just going to be overlapping that photo mat just a little bit. Okay. Then we are going to have some presents. So on our sticker sheet, we're going to use this present here. Oops, as I throw it. And our other present that we made. So these are going to get kind of zigzagged over here. All right. So I like that placement, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this one. I have to glue it down first, since it is just paper. And I'm going to do right like that, and my sticker on top. Now, I am going to journal this, but I'm gonna journal it in a little bit. Now, I will journal and cut my strips to fit in here. So you have these 2 strips. You're going to cut the chunks, and they'll be